Chaotic hoof prints etched deep into the dry earth, crushed grass scattered everywhere. We knew instantly a zebra herd had passed through here. But this time, the lead stallion wouldn't be easy to take down. Locals called it the ghost of the savannah. It always knew how to vanish into the morning mist, leaving behind a challenge for anyone daring enough to pursue it. We set out before dawn, driven by determination and a strategy we discussed all night. A hunt like this requires not just strength, but patience and an intimate understanding of your prey. This time, ours was exceptionally clever. Follow us and see how it unfolds. Under the scorching sun, we hid behind an old tree, watching as a herd of zebras grazed peacefully in the open field. They were alert, but hadn't yet sensed our presence. I signaled my partner to stay perfectly still. Every movement had to be calculated. When one of them strayed from the group, I aimed carefully and pulled the trigger. The gunshot cracked through the silence. The zebra fell instantly. The others bolted in panic. Our teamwork came not only from training, but from hundreds of times facing life and death together. Zebras are creatures of strict order, always led by a dominant one, while the rest follow at a measured distance. From the hillside, I studied every movement below. The leader stood out, not just for its size, but for its wariness. It grazed cautiously, scanning every direction. I tightened my grip and squeezed the trigger. A sharp crack echoed. The herd scattered in chaos, while the leader bolted the opposite way. But after a few dozen meters, it staggered and collapsed. For a hunter, victory doesn't come from luck. It comes from a mind that reads its prey. Peace didn't last long. John and I raised our scopes again, eyes locked on the herd. Even from a great distance, the zebras seemed to sense us. The herd froze. Not wasting the moment, I fired. The thunderous blast shattered the stillness. One at the edge of the group was hit. It tried to flee with the others, but fate had already been sealed. Out here in the wild, speed and precision mean everything. For a hunter, sometimes victory is earned in a single heartbeat of calm. From the high ridge, we took aim down into a hollow where the zebras slowly moved in. Clear line of sight, every movement within range. I steadied my breath, adjusted my scope, then squeezed the trigger. The bullet whistled through the air and struck one near the center of the herd. It stumbled, staggered, then darted into the bushes. Instantly, the herd erupted in chaos. Hooves pounding as they fled the area. No need to take them all, this was enough. In a hunt, sometimes all it takes is fear to make the prey never return. Yet moments later, a few more fell in our sights.
Awesome.
The midday sun blazed across the plains from the shade of a distant tree. John and I silently tracked every motion. The zebras grazed, unaware of our gaze. I carefully aligned my shot and fired. The sharp crack sliced through the still air. One was hit. It stumbled and darted toward the bushes, while the herd broke apart in panic. Under this burning sun, a hunter needs more than just a rifle. He needs clarity and perfect precision. By late afternoon, the sun still blazed, but our hunt wasn't over. From afar, we spotted a herd standing across a dirt path locals often used. The zebras seemed to challenge our patience. Without hesitation, I took aim and fired. Bang! Clean, quick, precise. One fell instantly, sending the rest fleeing into the wilderness. Remember, when facing nature, unless you're a true hunter, never provoke it. Otherwise, you might become the hunted. As we packed up to head home, a lone zebra wandered near the edge of the clearing. It hadn't noticed us, calmly pacing the open ground. Silently, I raised my rifle, matched its rhythm, and fired. A clean, decisive shot. The animal fell without a sound, closing the day's hunt perfectly, right to the final moment. In the grasslands of the southern United States, wild boars descend in droves every night, tearing through cornfields, ravaging crops, and leaving farmers in despair. These ferocious beasts not only cause economic devastation, but also pose a threat to the safety of livestock and people alike. Determined to protect the harvests and eliminate this menace for the local community, we embarked on an all-night hunting expedition. The entire journey was captured vividly with an iPhone 15 Pro Max. Will we succeed in stopping these notorious destroyers in their tracks this time? Join us to experience every thrilling moment right now. As the sun began to rise, we headed toward the vast plains, a feeding ground where wild boar herds often roam at dawn. Our team traversed the endless fields in a Tesla Cybertruck. My comrades and I double-checked our rifles, ammunition, and essential gear, preparing for a confrontation with the massive, monstrous herd. As we sped across the flat expanse of the field, the ground suddenly trembled with rhythmic thuds. Sensing a hefty herd of prey ahead, my teammates slammed on the brakes. Before our eyes, a massive herd of wild boars charged forward, as if they'd caught wind of the hunter's presence. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle, locking the largest beast in my crosshairs. Holding my breath, I pulled the trigger, and a deafening shot tore through the air. Instantly, the monstrous creature collapsed, thrashing wildly, while the rest of the herd scattered in all directions. Seizing the moment, my teammates swiftly tracked the fleeing prey, their rifles following each desperate movement, picking off the boars one by one. A near-perfect start to today's hunt. Determined to track down the escaped herd, I used the GPS device to lead the team deeper into the plains. Suddenly, a lone boar broke from the pack and charged toward us. It stopped dead in its tracks, glaring at me as if daring me to act. My heart pounded as I gripped the rifle tightly, aiming straight at its head. A deafening shot rang out. The beast reeled backward, collapsing in defeat, completely subdued. Before we could catch our breath, not far off, my teammate had already zeroed in on another target. From a distance, it barreled through a clearing, mud and dirt flying under its frantic hooves. John took a deep breath, pressing the rifle stock against his shoulder, his eyes locked on the target. A shot rang out, the bullet piercing the beast's leg, causing it to stumble and drag itself in a desperate bid to escape. Without hesitation, a second shot echoed. Critical hit! John shouted. The massive creature collapsed, leaving behind an eerie, chilling silence. After taking down the last of the prey on the plains, we swiftly checked our gear, reloaded our rifles, and moved into the nearby forest, a perfect hideout for the wild boar herds in this area. Who do you think will emerge victorious in the battle about to unfold? We hadn't moved far when a sharp sound shattered the silent air. Our team leader signaled everyone to hold position. From the thicket ahead, a massive wild boar suddenly burst through, leaving a trail of snapping branches in its wake. Acting on instinct, Nick raised his rifle to his shoulder, tracking the beast's path with precision. The crack of the trigger echoed, and the bullet struck true, piercing the creature's massive body. It lost momentum, skidding across the dry grass, leaving a long, stained trail behind. Keep moving, my team leader said. About 10 minutes into our trek, a dangerous situation unfolded. A massive wild boar burst from the thicket, roaring and charging straight at me like a living arrow. The distance closed in an instant. Heart pounding, I barely had time to raise my rifle, align the sights, and pull the trigger. The bullet pierced clean through its forehead, and the sheer momentum of its charge sent its heavy body crashing down right at the tip of my boots. Continuing our journey, barely 10 minutes later, the forest erupted with grunts and the thunder of frantic hooves. A herd of wild boars was barreling through the dry thickets like a flood tearing through the silence. I spun around, quickly aimed at the one in the middle of the pack, and pulled the trigger. It dropped instantly, while the others scattered in panic, their clamor echoing through the depths of the forest. After hours of intense pursuit deep in the forest, exhaustion began to set in. We decided to retreat, following the narrow trail back. But just as we were heading out, a lone wild boar suddenly darted across our line of sight. Instinct kicked in. I raised my rifle and fired. The first shot grazed its shoulder. Not letting the beast escape, I quickly pulled the trigger again. The second bullet struck true, and the creature staggered before crashing to the ground, completely subdued. Wild boars, the silent but deadly destroyers of farmlands. When night falls, they sneak into gardens and fields, trampling crops, tearing through barns, and leaving farmers in despair. And when the destruction crosses the line of tolerance, a new mission is triggered. Hunt them down to protect the farms. This is no longer just a hunt, it's a battle between man and the wild. Will the beasts surrender this time? Or will they once again become the nightmare that haunts local farmers? Join us in today's relentless pursuit. At first light, we begin our slow advance into the deep forest, a known trail often used by the notorious boar herd. Our weapons are locked and loaded, GPS in hand. Hunting dogs alert. Every step is measured. Every sound is a potential threat in the heavy silence. Suddenly, a dark silhouette emerges from a thicket. It seems unaware of the danger lurking behind. I pivot instinctively, raise my rifle, steady my grip, and pull the trigger. A sharp crack pierces the forest. The shot lands. The boar stumbles a few steps and collapses under the damp canopy. Tension falls over the woods like a curtain. We move deeper into the jungle, where sunlight barely filters through the leaves. Out of nowhere, a massive beast explodes from the brush, its hulking body slicing through the trees like a bolt of fury. No hesitation. I aim fast through the canopy and fire. The shot lands. The beast crashes to the ground, sliding across fallen leaves before coming to a halt. Just when we thought the fight was over, barely 10 minutes later, two muscular boars burst from the brush, charging straight toward me. I stay calm, raise my rifle, steady my breathing. One shot, then another. Both bullets find their mark. The wild pigs collapse into the forest floor, powerless to resist. Suddenly, I receive a call from the team. Fresh boar activity has been spotted out in the open field ahead. No time to waste. I break away from the canopy, sprint toward the clearing. Everything's ready. The chase is back on. From a distance, a dark figure sprints right into my line of sight. A fully grown wild boar, massive and aggressive. Without a second thought, I lift the rifle, hold my stance, and fire. The sharp crack of the shot echoes across the empty field. The boar jerks and drops, lifeless on the damp earth. The gunshot sends a shockwave through the field. From the distant thickets, an entire herd bursts out, running in every direction, panicked and desperate to escape. I adjust quickly, locked onto a fast runner ahead. Fire. Another clean shot. The target falls. The rest scatter wildly across the plains. I immediately give chase in the direction the herd fled. Just 2 minutes later, a massive boar cuts across my flank, charging blindly for an escape. I spin, raise the rifle, and fire. The boar crashes into green grass, thrashing briefly before going still. At that very moment, on the opposite side of the field, my teammate is already in position. He spots a gigantic boar barreling through the tall grass. He locks in and fires. The bullet hits clean. The beast stumbles, then collapses on the spot. One precise shot, a clean finish. This hunting mission ends with moments of heart-pounding tension and thrilling confrontations. From tangled forest trails to wide-open fields, every shot fired was more than just skill, it was a responsibility, a duty to protect the land from destructive invaders. All operations in this hunt followed strict legal regulations for managing invasive species and ensuring safety for both people and the environment. At the boundary between civilization and the wild boars are among the most dangerous invasive species to agriculture, the environment, and other animals. They dig up the soil, destroy young forests, erode the land, and cause severe damage to nature. That's why we couldn't just stand by and watch. As soon as the first light of dawn touched the mountains, I shouldered my backpack, gripped my familiar rifle, and began the journey to hunt wild boar in the highlands. This is more than just a hunt, it's a face-to-face encounter between man and untamed nature. Will we be able to maintain the upper hand today? Let's find out together. To begin today's hunt, we headed for the hills, where wild boar often roam in herds, bullying and preying on other wildlife. Our backpacks were packed, our rifles fully loaded, and our team set off. Through the pale shafts of sunlight, my binoculars caught sight of a wild boar sprinting across the sea of tall grass. Each pounding step kicked up dry clouds of dust. Without hesitation, I dropped into firing position, took a deep breath, aligned my sights, and aimed straight for a vital spot. The trigger broke clean. The bullet cut through the air and struck true. The beast collapsed instantly, so fast it didn't even have time for a final scream. From the mountain's crest, I scanned the land below. Suddenly, my eyes locked on something suspicious in the grass ahead. Without warning, a dark figure burst out like a lightning bolt, wild, reckless, fearless. I squeezed the trigger. Shots tore through the morning air. One struck home, and the boar crashed heavily into the earth. My teammate and our dog locked onto the boar's trail. I quickly moved into position, heart pounding as I waited for the decisive moment. Suddenly, the boar charged out from the brush. I fired a burst, the animal staggered, then dropped motionless. Relief washed over me. A second slower, and I could have been its target. A sudden rustle came from the bushes. I raised my rifle, instantly scanning with tense focus. A massive beast burst into the open, racing across the grass. My shot struck true. It stumbled, lost control, rolled across the far side of the field, and lay still. Then from a distance, a massive black shadow charged straight toward us. I held my breath, aimed, and fired. The shot hit its mark. The beast collapsed to my feet, lifeless. The chase reached a wide dirt road when suddenly a boar burst from the opposite field. Instinct took over. Boom, my shot struck dead center. The animal collapsed and rolled into the far field, never getting the chance to escape. Today's hunt ended in complete success, each target eliminated with precision, restoring peace to this land.